The biblical four horses of the apocalypse. Oh yes, we know what they mean. Conquest, war, famine, and death, respectively. But now we know the name of the men who will ride them, my friends. Come along and find out. Mellow greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome to the Relevant Elevant channel. Crazy time to be alive. I discuss relevant cultural issues and I usually end up with something uplifting. I call it Elevant. If you like that kind of thing, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. In this video, I present to you my vision of who will be the riders of the four horses of the tech apocalypse. That is, the men that want to bring war, famine, and death and conquer the world using technology. These are not nice people, and they do not really care about the climate or the poor or diversity or you, contrary to what they may say. They just want to rule the world and enslave you. This is part one of 4. Let's begin. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are described in the Bible by John in his book of Revelations, the last book of the New Testament, and our present reality. The chapter tells of a scroll in God's right hand that is sealed with 7 seals. The Lamb of God, also known as Jesus Christ, opens the first 4 of the 7 seals, which summons forth 4 beings that ride out on white, red, black, and pale horses. The 4 riders are seen as symbolizing conquest, war, famine, and death, respectively. The Christian apocalyptic vision is that the 4 horsemen are to set a divine apocalypse upon the world as harbingers of the last judgment. Basically, they will bring the end of the world as we know it. Oh friends, nothing in this world is more relevant than the end of times as we know. And I think I have identified the 4 riders of the 4 horses of this apocalypse. Keep in mind, this is my somewhat educated view based on much research and endless hours spent studying all of this. And for the sake of time, I'm giving you a much shorter version of what I have actually read and watched and researched. And again, I'm breaking it up in 4 parts. So let's start with a description of the 4 horses in the biblical version of the story and follow each with a description of the man that I believe intends to ride that horse into this new world order. Let's go. First, here's the white horse. And as described in Revelations, I quote, "I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, 'Come and see.' I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. I posit that the rider of this horse is George Soros. He's bent on conquest because he experienced defeat at a young age and had to scrap to survive and even sacrifice a lot. He was born in 1930 in Budapest, Hungary. His father learned survival skills allegedly while at a Soviet prison camp, eventually returning to Nazi-occupied Budapest to be with his family. So George eventually faked not being Jewish in order to survive in German-occupied territories, even if that meant turning in other Jewish people to the Nazis. Although born Jewish, he's an atheist and a globalist lizard person that wants to world the population and to bring the rule of the New World Order. How? By way of his organizations he's part of, such as his Open Society Foundation. More on that later. Soros considers his survival in German-occupied territory to be the formative years of his life. In 1987, Soros compared his survival instincts to his investment strategy, writing, "I react to events in the marketplace as an animal reacts to events in the jungle," or a lizard person or whatever. After escaping Hungary, Soros moved to England to attend the London School of Economics in 1947 and became fascinated with the teachings of the philosopher Karl Popper and dreamed of one day becoming a famous philosopher himself. How humble. He eventually found work in the currencies exchange in London and moved to New York City in 1956, where he became a financial worker specializing in European markets. Eventually, he took a job at a hedge fund in New York City. At first, he found it difficult adjusting to corporate American culture and claims that the only reason he was able to land the job in the first place was because of one of the managers, who was also Hungarian. In 1969, Soros founded the Quantum Fund in Manhattan, which later became one of the world's most successful hedge funds. And I don't know what you, viewer, know about hedge funds, but I know what I know. They're usually filled with greedy people with very loose moral standards. So, what's his claim to fame and to be the writer for the first Horse of the Apocalypse? Well, he used his national origin to save his own ass and to get work, and he broke the Bank of England, and he's also a globalist lizard person, member of the World Economic Forum, hell-bent on making the Great Reset happen. Let's unpack this a little bit. Over the years, Soros' quantum group of funds engineered and executed trades dealing with billions of dollars per day, not without controversy. Financier Stanley Druckenmiller, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who helped Soros, engineered a plan to short the British pound in 1992. The only role that Soros played was pushing him to take a gigantic position. Soros invested $10 billion in the operation, netting out his quantum fund a $1 billion profit. By the year 2000, Soros had been accused by some of causing financial crises in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia with his financial witchery. By the time of its closing, Soros' quantum fund generated a yearly average return for investors of 30%. When it comes to Soros' political ideology and business, he claims he can keep them separate, but his actions show otherwise. Soros has spent more of his money on what he calls political philanthropy as he has grown older. In 2011, Soros' Open Society Foundation spent $835 million intended to promote the values of open society, human rights, and transparency. The Open Society Foundation was founded in the early 1980s and had the intention of propagating democracy and post-communist prosperity in former Soviet bloc states, allegedly. Financial ties between the Black Lives Matter movement and Soros have been reported, as well as financial ties to the Occupy Wall Street movement. The network of Soros-founded organizations indirectly touches 30 media organizations. Between 2000 and 2014, Soros donated to 40 of the groups affiliated with the Women's March, his donations totaling $89 million. You know, those are the people with the knit pussy hats? Yeah. In 2016, Soros wrote, "My success in the financial market has given me a greater degree of independence than most other people. This obliges me to take stands on controversial issues when others cannot, and taking such positions has itself been a source of satisfaction." Sorry, y'all, I don't know if that's a proper Soros accent, I'm making it up. Soros spent over $18 million on political campaigns affiliated with the Democratic Party in 2016, including Hillary's campaign in 2013. In 2013, Soros agreed to be co-chair for the Clinton-aligned Ready for Hillary Super PAC, as well as investing over $2 million in a left-of-center data analytic company named Catalyst. After Hillary Clinton lost to Trump in the 2016 presidential election, Soros met for 3 days with elite donors and Democrats to come up with new plans. Soros also spent $2 million in 2016 to help defeat the then Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio as part of a nationwide push for criminal justice reform. In 2020, Soros had put $28 million into various efforts to support the Democratic side in the 2020 election. He gave $10 million to a program called Win Justice for its efforts against voter disenfranchisement, namely to mobilize people of color and other infrequent voters that might be affected by states choosing to suspend in-person voting due to the pandemic. In plain English, that means he spent millions rigging the elections in favor of the left. In 2021, Soros contributed $1 million to aid California Governor Gavin Newsom. Really nasty Newsom in his recall election against Republican challengers like conservative radio personality Larry Elder and transgender activist Caitlyn Jenner. Again, rigging political outcomes by throwing his ill-gotten millions at the situation. He also funds other PACs, such as the Justice and Public Safety PAC, that contribute to campaigns of left-wing district attorneys. His contributions have supported these attorneys who seek to reduce death-related prosecution. You know, the kind of people whose policies have all of the major cities full of crime and filled with human poop and hypodermic needles. Yeah. For example, State Attorney Kimberly Fox from Chicago received financial help from Soros, and she announced that her office sought to quit prosecuting shoplifters unless they possessed a record of over 10 previous felony convictions or had stolen more than $1,000 worth of goods. Similarly, Dallas County District Attorney John Cruzat announced in 2019 that his campaign received national funding through Soros and said that his office would no longer prosecute individuals for the theft of items valued under $750. And this goes on and on and on. Through the Open Society Foundations, Soros donates to a number of left-of-center organizations, including the Center for American Progress, a policy think tank that was formed by Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager, John Podesta. Soros was one of the early supporters of Barack Obama in his first presidential run. After Soros failed in his 2004 backing of then U.S. Senator John Kerry, to whom Soros had donated $27 million in an attempt to defeat President Bush. Soros claims that the Chinese quasi-capitalistic model of economics, what he calls state capitalism, is a novel and even perhaps desirable approach to economics. In 2009, Soros said the rise of China offers a fundamentally different form of economic organization than the current international financial system. He followed by saying that we are at the end of an era, but we are not fully aware of it. Soros believes that multilaterally restricted world markets are the only mechanism for ensuring global economic stability. So basically, he is a globalist lizard person who made tons of money by being very shady, and now he thinks he can decide how the rest of us are going to live. Supporters of Soros' American political advocacy activities have attempted to characterize the vast majority of right-leaning criticism of his activities as anti-Semitism, which is completely retarded because Soros is openly an atheist and has spoken about how he helped Nazis round up Jewish people in Germany. He was born Jewish, but to appropriate some of the CRT language, he might be skin Jew folk, but he's definitely not Jew kinfolk. Shit, Soros and Hillary are gonna get me one day for sure. If I don't get shadow banned and people can actually see my videos. So make sure you hit the like button while you still can. There's more, but it's all very dry. Basically, accounts of Soros giving money to far lefties, but then there's this. Globalist George Soros and other billionaires are backing a new media company aimed at combating any disinformation that runs counter to the establishment narrative. It's called, are you ready for it? Good Information Inc. bills itself as a public benefit corporation committed to restoring social trust and strengthening democracy by controlling the flow of accurate information. Despite big tech's systemic censorship and near total dominion over information flow, Good Information Inc. says that most Americans still don't trust the mainstream media or the results of the 2020 election, which threatens public safety, social trust, and democracy. They say, we believe there is an urgent need for regulation of social media platforms, as well as increased investment in new models that place a higher value on serving communities' trust over clickbait and protecting democracy over profits. That's what their website states. Holy crap, so basically Soros is using his billions to fund even more censorship. Good Information Inc., really? That's the best name you could come up with? The left cannot meme or name things. This company will be led by Tara McGowan, a former Democratic strategist who ran a progressive nonprofit called Acronym, which led a $100 million digital campaign against former President Donald Trump during the 2020 presidential election. So, to summarize, Soros is a Jew traitor that helped Nazis round up his own people and never felt bad about it, who then came to America and learned how to make money by scamming people and companies. And then he decided to use all those gains to support the deranged left. He wants conquest because he feels like he deserves it, and he is a full-blown psychopath. I get it. He went through a lot when he was young, but he made the choice to ally himself with the side of evil. Many prisoners of war that were actually captured by Nazis and survived went about it in the complete opposite direction and embraced logic, empathy, and reason, but not Soros. I hope you enjoyed this first installment of the 4 Horses of the Tech Apocalypse, and if you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'll be posting the next 3 shortly, and I will post the relevant video, the one with the good news, at the end of the series. So if you like getting the bad news and then the good news, stay with me, stay alert, stay alive. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.